Hey guys, this is Sandy. I'm a licensed realtor here in the Central Florida area and also a licensed loan originator or loan officer as well. So I'm a realtor and a loan officer. Today I want to do a video on what to do when the home you're purchasing need repairs. Let's get into it. So we're in a market right now. This is April of 2025. Don't remember the date. That's crazy. Anyway, April of 2025. Interest rates are high in most areas. Home prices are high. Some areas are seeing a decline in purchases. Some areas are seeing a slowdown in purchases. So we're in a time where some people are not selling at all because they got lower interest rates, and why should they sell? So the question is, if I'm buying a home and it needs repair, do I have negotiating power? What do I do? Should I purchase it? Should I move on to another home? What to do? Inventory is kind of high right now, higher than it was a few years ago, so you have more choices. But what if you found a home in an area, you love the school district, you have kids, or it have certain amenities that you really love, so you really want to buy the home, but it needs some repairs? What would be your option? What are some of the options out there for you to pick from? Okay, let's get into it. The first thing is, what kind of repairs are we talking about, right? Are there minor repairs or are there major repairs? Minor repairs would be something like your taste in color. Maybe you don't like the way the color of the walls are. Maybe you don't like the carpeting, or maybe you want to remove the carpet and put vinyl floors down. These are like cosmetic stuff that lenders won't have any kind of interest in. But based upon the amount of repair the home needs, the lender will have something to say about that. They will determine if they're going to lend you or not, if you're going to get the loan or not. If you're doing an FHA or a VA loan, this is going to be more specific because the appraiser is going to be out there looking for things like, does every sink has a GFCI outlet by it, right? Is there any peeling paints, especially around the window frames and stuff? And if the home was built before 1978, that's going to be a big deal as well. They're also going to be looking for any kind of structural settlement. Is the doors jamming? Because if the doors are jamming, if a few of the doors are jamming in the home, it means there may be a settlement issue, and you might need to get an engineer. Does the air conditioner or the furnace works? What's the age of the roof? Is the roof leaking or is it not? Right? If the roof is leaking, deal breaker. If the roof is, like in our area in particular, if the roof is over 10 years old, red flag. Maybe in your area, they might not be the same. Maybe if the roof is over 30 years, it may be a red flag in the area you're in. So it depends upon the area you're in. But we have to determine what the repairs are, because some repairs are cosmetic and some are not. Some are structural. Some are, there's a foundation of any kind of settling cracks in it. Does the stucco on the outside of the home, let's say the home has stucco, does it have cracks in it? So determining what to do is going to determine what the extent of damages are. Maybe you're saying the home is damaged because the carpet needs to be changed and it needs to be painted and the kitchen is dated and the bathrooms are dated. Those are not really repairs. Those are important to you and they are repairs, but they're not repairs in the eyes of the lender. Those are considered cosmetic. So we could change the carpet, repaint the floor, change the kitchen. But what would be important in the kitchen is, does the appliances work? Especially in the case of a FHA or VA loan, does the appliances work? Do you have running water? Does the sewage system work? Is the plumbing working? Is there any leaks in the plumbing? So these are some of the things that you take into consideration. If you're doing a conventional loan, they are not that strict, but they want the home to be functioning. It got to be a functioning home. You have to have appliances in the kitchen. Especially for conventional, you need a stove and a dishwasher. A refrigerator, not so much. Okay, that's why most builders will give the microwave, the dishwasher, and the stove, because that's what they're going to be looking for. That's what makes the home livable. So let's talk about this. If you're doing a FHA loan, you could do what is called a FHA 203K loan, which I spoke about in a few other videos, that gives you the ability to purchase the home, and they will also give you the money to fix the home to a certain extent. So FHA 203K has two different kinds of loan. They have one that they'll give you renovation or repairs up to $30,000. And there's another one that will give you all the way up to $100,000 in repairs based upon if you qualify, the purchase of the home, the price of the home, and what is it that the home needs. So the FHA program, FHA 203K program, will give you money to fix it. So as in the case of the one that you're giving you up to $30,000 for repairs, that could be changing the carpet, changing the appliances, fixing the kitchen, stuff that are minor and cosmetics. In the case of the one that you're giving you $50,000 to $100,000 and sometimes even more, this is where we're talking about structural sewage line. We might need to change out the whole septic or the sewage or plumbing or the roof, or there's something structural. So the house needs more repairs. The house needs $50,000 or more in repairs. So we are talking about more in repairs. So FHA 203K will give you this. Now, how do you qualify for this? First, you have to qualify for the loan itself. Let's say you're selling a home for $300,000. You have to qualify for the $300,000. And if you need $30,000 more in repairs, then you have to qualify for $330,000, right? In this particular situation, they will allow you to do some of the work, but they will not allow you to do things that requires a license, like a licensed plumber, a licensed electrician. You have to get a licensed person to do this kind of work. So that's an easier, simpler loan for the FHA 203K program, and they'll give you up to $30,000 to fix it. The way it works is they will also give you contractors that are qualified by them, and I would advise to use those contractors, because the way this works is you do the work first and then they pay you after. And most contractors are looking to be paid up front. They want 25% down or 50% down or something. So you want to use contractors who are qualified and certified for the FHA loans, and they understand how it works. For the loan that's $50,000 or more, you definitely want to use, I think FHA will want you to use one of their contractors that are qualified and licensed as a FHA 203K loan contractor. And what happens is, as you do the work, they'll send an inspector out. So they do the work in phases. So if it's the plumbing, they're going to do phase one. Once the plumber finishes phase one, the inspector, FHA, will send out their inspector to check. Once it's checked, they'll release the funds for phase one, then they move to phase two, kind of how it works. So how does this work? So normally you would then, if you're doing the FHA 203K program that's going to give you the money to rehab or to fix the property, once you close, so let's say let's go back to our $330,000 example. So $300,000 for the home, $30,000 to fix. At the closing table, they're going to give the seller their $300,000 minus whatever down payment, and you could put as little as 3.5% down on this loan as well, providing that you qualify for that. So they're going to give the loan for $300,000, and the $30,000 is going to be held back through the FHA program in an escrow account. So each time you do each phase of the work, there's an inspector out. They're going to release a different phase until the whole $30,000 is used. Then your loan is now $330,000, and that's what you'll be paying back as one loan. Same thing with the other one. If you're doing $50,000 or more in repairs, then or $30,000 or more in repairs, then it's going to be done the same way. At the closing table, they do the mortgage, the seller gets their money, the renovational money is set aside in an escrow account, and it's released as the work gets done. The FHA will send an inspector out each phase before they release the funds. So they're not going to give you the funds all at once. It's going to go through phases. Now, let's pretend you're buying a house. You didn't want to do all that. You just wanted, this is a house of mine and it needs some repairs. What am I going to do? It depends upon if the repairs are critical to the financing. Meaning the lender will not give you the money unless these repairs are made. And if that's the case, then it will be upon the seller to decide if they want to do the repairs and sell you the property, or if they want to go look for a cash buyer who doesn't mind that they're not going to repair it and they will just buy the property as is, right? So that's what it's going to come down to. For repairs that are going to not be qualified because of financing, it's going to be something like structural stuff. Air conditioner doesn't work. There's no appliances in the home. The home is not in living condition, meaning no running water, no sewage, no appliances. It's like broken down, foundation is going, the roof is caving in, that kind of stuff, right? Those are the kind of repairs. But if the home is in a condition where it needs repairs, but the lender will still give you the financing, then now you have negotiating power with the seller to determine what's going to happen. And typically in this situation, the seller might be saying it needs $10,000 worth of work. If the seller is saying it needs $10,000 worth of work, the buyer is going to be saying it needs $20,000 worth of work, right? So we have 20 and 10. So how do we meet in the middle? Do we meet in the middle at 15,000? Or is the seller like, no, I'm giving you $10,000 credit towards repair because that's what it's going to take. So if that's the case, if there's a standoff, the seller is saying 10, the buyer is at $10,000, and seller is at $10,000 in repair, the buyer is saying it's 20,000 repairs, then both parties can go ahead and get some estimates. So the seller could go to their contractor and the buyer goes to their contractor and they get estimate as to how much it would truly cost to do whatever the repairs is that needs to be repaired. Maybe the roof is old and doesn't necessarily need to be changed because it's not leaking. But maybe the buyer is saying, yeah, that may be the case, but the roof is 20 years old and it's going to leak anytime. So maybe at that point, the seller might be able to get an estimate on the roof. The buyer gets an estimate on the roof and they come to some kind of understanding. Some banks may not finance a 20-year-old roof. Some banks might, so it depends. Let's say the roof is 10 years old. It's not leaking, but the buyer is saying if the roof is 10 years old, it's going to need to be changed sometime down the line. I need to negotiate that with the selling price. So that's also part of negotiation. Let's talk about the furnace or the air conditioning system. Maybe the furnace and the air conditioning system is working, but it's very old. So you might want to get an estimate as to how much to replace it. The buyer could get an estimate, the seller could get an estimate, and then somehow they work out what that figure would look like. Maybe the seller is saying, hey, the furnace is working or the air conditioning system is working. So I know it's old, but it's working. So I always work as long as I live in the house, because that's always a thing. And now, yeah, it worked the whole time you live in the house, but now I'm buying it and it might break down in 2 years or maybe 6 months or maybe even a month. That's where home warranty insurance will also come in. So if you're buying a property that have an older furnace, or older appliances, older doorbell, garage door opener, air conditioning system, whatever it is, if everything is older, they may want to negotiate to get a home warranty insurance from the seller. You may also want the seller to pay for 2 years instead of 1 year of home warranty. And whatever home warranty the seller is going to give to you, if you're the buyer, you want to make sure what are the stipulation. In other words, what is the deductible? How much do I have to pay if I have to call someone to come out and fix it? What exactly is covered? If they were to replace the air conditioning system, do I have to pay for the Freon? Is that separate? Or is that a part of the package? How long does it typically take for this home warranty company to actually do a claim? If the refrigerator breaks down the day after I close and I have a 2-year warranty that I got from the seller, how long does this company take to change the refrigerator? Do we have to wait for months? Are they going to replace the refrigerator with just a $100 deductible, which is typical of most home warranty companies? Or do I get to choose, are they going to give me a choice to say you could choose this, this, or this, but if you want anything beyond that, you have to pay additional funds. So you need to know if you're going to do a home warranty to cover some of the repairs or to cover stuff because they're old. You need to know how the home warranty program works. Is it going to be apple for apple? Are they going to take this fridge and I get another fridge? Are they going to give me a fridge like this? What if it's a 2-door fridge, but I want a French door fridge? I don't know. So these are things you need to find out. Very important for you to find this out during your negotiation. So if the seller is like, hey, we'll give you a 2-year home warranty, you need to say, what's the name of the company? Can I research this? Can I talk to one of the home warranty reps? Can I talk to one of the reps that you're giving me the home warranty from? So I'll find out exactly what I'm taking on. So I know that the company will actually replace the item. And if they're not going to replace it, do I have to pay the money in addition to them replacing it, right? Let's say it's an air conditioning system and the inside unit goes, but the outside unit is working. Are they going to replace both or are they only going to replace the inside? And I think in Florida, in most areas of Florida, you have to replace both. So once one unit goes, they want you to replace both. So these are some of the things that you need to find out, right? So this is how you would negotiate in buying a home. Let's talk about it. Let's summarize this whole thing. If I'm buying a home that needs repairs, 1, can I do a 2 or 3? Do I want to do a FHA 2 or 3K program that's going to give me the money for the repairs? 2, if I don't want to do that, what is the seller willing to negotiate with me? What is going to be my bargaining power? 3, if the seller is giving me a home warranty, what are the stipulations of the home warranty? And can I get a 2-year home warranty as opposed to a 1-year home warranty? That's very important. 4, should I go get another property? Or do I really want to purchase this property? Right? What are my choices? This property is at $350. What are the other properties in the areas at $350 looking for? what do they look like? The other properties in the area at the same price, what do they look like? Am I getting a bargain in the rough? Am I buying a home for $350, but all the other homes are selling for $400 or $450? And if that's the case, how much repairs do I need to do to get it back, to get it to where it's supposed to be, right? Am I buying it with equity? And that's another thing. Most investors are going to buy a home with equity in it. They're buying on the wholesale market, in other words. They're not buying on the retail market. Meaning, when they're buying a home, they want built-in equity already in the home. They're not going to buy market value at all. But if you're a regular homeowner, maybe market value is fine with you. You don't care, as long as you're able to either fix the home, or the seller is being fair with you to purchase the home, or you're doing 2 or 3K, which is going to give you the money to repair the property, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things to think about. And if you want to give us a call or send us a text at the number above here, if you want to go into more details on how to really negotiate this, we're here to help. There's also some information on the bottom as well. Remember, guys, subscribe to our channel. We're always coming up with brand new videos and very good educational topics. And also press on the bell so you'll be notified each time we come up with a topic. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next video.